Flash? Flash, often hailed as a titan of speed in the DC universe, is a character whose reputation far exceeds his actual capabilities. Barry Allen, the most iconic Flash, is frequently touted as the fastest man alive, supposedly able to outrun teleportation, obliterate anyone with his infinite mass punch, or rewind time to fix his mistakes. However, a closer examination reveals that these feats are heavily exaggerated. First, Barry isn't even the fastest Flash. Wally West and Reverse Flash outpace him, and the most impressive feats attributed to Flash often belong to Wally. For instance, saving 500,000 people before a nuclear explosion or outrunning teleportation are Wally's accomplishments, not Barry's. The former has been misinterpreted. While calculations suggest a speed of 13 trillion times that of light, a footnote clarifies that Wally was just below light speed. As for outrunning teleportation, it required a planet-wide collective effort, with everyone running to give him a boost, an absurd condition that diminishes the feat. The infinite mass punch, meant to be an ultimate weapon, is also overrated. In theory, the faster Flash goes, the more mass he gains, allowing him to strike with infinite force, a spectacular move in Injustice. But against the Animonitor, a cosmic monster, the punch only shattered a piece of armor, far from knocking him out. Compared to an alternate Superman's punch in the same comic, which destroyed a large portion of the armor, Flash's attack feels almost trivial. Time travel, popularized by the Snyder Cut, is another misunderstood ability. Flash can travel back in time by running, but it requires a cosmic treadmill for precision. Otherwise, it's a gamble, and he risks being chased by Black Flash, who's faster than him. Reverse Flash, on the other hand, masters this ability with unsettling ease, highlighting Barry's limitations. The Justice League itself isn't overly impressed. Most members move at light speed, and Wally admitted that challenging Superman would be suicidal. This reality is underscored by Flash's inconsistencies in the comics, where he stumbles over mundane obstacles like rocks, and in the TV series where his power level fluctuates dramatically. Fans overestimate Flash by overlooking his weaknesses. He's not invincible, and his feats often rely on exceptional circumstances. Historically, Flash was created as a symbol of hope and speed, but writers have occasionally amplified his abilities for narrative purposes, such as in Flashpoint, where he alters reality but at the cost of disastrous consequences. This tendency to exaggerate his powers has built a myth around him, but in practice, he's far from dominating cosmic entities like Darkseid or even heroes like Superman who combine speed with raw power. Flash's narrative role often centers on his ingenuity and heart, like when he outsmarts foes using the Speed Force in creative ways, such as vibrating through walls or creating whirlwinds. Yet, these moments don't translate to universal dominance. His reliance on the Speed Force also makes him vulnerable to disruptions. Villains like Zoom have exploited this, showing that speed alone isn't enough against a well-prepared opponent. Flash remains a captivating hero, but his legend races far ahead of reality, a product of fan enthusiasm rather than consistent feats. Viltrammites. The Viltrammites, hailing from the Invincible universe, are an extraterrestrial race that has captivated fans, particularly through the animated series. Omni-Man, their most prominent figure, is portrayed as an overwhelming threat. He annihilates the Guardians of the Globe, the local equivalent of the Justice League, in mere minutes, and devastates the Flaxen Dimension without mercy. With super strength, speed, endurance, the ability to fly, and the capacity to survive in space for weeks, the Viltrammites appear as galactic conquerors akin to Saiyans, growing stronger with age or by pushing their limits. This image has fueled heated debates. Can Omni-Man defeat Superman or Goku? Could the Viltrammites invade other universes like Marvel's? Their charisma and iconic design have amplified this hype. However, their power is significantly overrated. Within the Invincible universe, they dominate, but this universe is far more modest than Marvel or DC, where characters destroy planets or multiverses. Their most notable feat, destroying a planet, required 3 Viltrammites at full speed, a ray gun to weaken the core, and perfect coordination, or they risked death on impact. Their resilience has limits. They wouldn't survive long in a sun, unlike Superman or Silver Surfer, who can linger there comfortably. Characters like Ragnar, Battle Beast, or Alan the Alien have defeated them, exposing vulnerabilities fans often ignore. The Viltrammites lack a kryptonite-like weakness, but their arrogance and reliance on brute force make them susceptible to more strategic foes. Their warrior culture, centered on conquest and survival of the fittest, explains their ferocity, but also their inability to adapt against unconventional threats like advanced technology or magic, which are absent from their universe. In Invincible, their menace is heightened by personal stakes. Omni-Man betrays his son Mark for his mission, but outside this context, they'd be outmatched. For instance, a fight against Thor or Hulk would likely see them crushed, as Thor can wield cosmic energies far beyond their understanding. The Invincible universe, crafted by a single writer, Robert Kirkman, prioritizes intimate stories over cosmic feats, limiting their scope. The Viltrammites' societal structure, built on a rigid hierarchy where only the strongest survive, fosters their aggressive expansion but also isolates them, making alliances rare and betrayal common, as seen when Thrag, their leader, turns on his own to maintain dominance. Their biology, while impressive, capable of interbreeding with humans, as seen with Mark, doesn't grant them the versatility of other races, like the Kree or Asgardians, who combine physical might with technological or mystical prowess. The Viltrammites shine through their visceral combat style and the emotional weight of their conflicts, but they're not the universal titans fans imagine, just formidable brutes in a smaller sandbox, their power inflated by narrative context rather than raw capability. Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter, also known as John Johns, is a recurring member of the Justice League. Featured in series like Justice League, Young Justice, Supergirl, and even the Snyder Cut. Despite his presence, he remains underutilized, often relegated to a secondary role where he suffers humiliating defeats, particularly in the Justice League animated series, where he's consistently overpowered. Yet, his power set is undeniably impressive. Super strength, flight, durability, telepathy to read minds or shield against psychic attacks, invisibility, intangibility, thermal vision, and shapeshifting. He can transform into animals, grow to giant size, or sprout extra limbs, making him one of the most versatile heroes in DC. Some, including Superman, have called him the most powerful being on Earth, placing him at the top of a list of threats Superman fears, alongside figures like Booster Gold and Starbreaker. However, this reputation is overstated. Martian Manhunter is not on Superman's level. Despero easily defeated him, while Superman dominated the same opponent. Doomsday crushed John twice, whereas Superman triumphed over the Beast. John himself admits he'd need Supergirl and Kyle Rayner to face a Superman-level threat. Worse, Superman Blue, a weaker version, is described as stronger than everyone in the room, including John. Against variants like Superboy or Zod, Martian Manhunter fails, and his telepathy, though potent, is ineffective against Superman, who resists such attacks. This inconsistency is stark in the comics, where entities like the Weird, capable of wiping out the Justice League, including Joan, see Superman as a far greater challenge. The notion that Joan might outmatch Superman may have been considered at one point, but the evidence contradicts it. His role in the Justice League is often tactical. His telepathic abilities and shape-shifting are used for infiltration or coordination, but he lacks standout victories against major foes. His weakness to fire, a trait of his Martian heritage, is a significant drawback, often exploited by enemies like Despero, who can generate intense heat to incapacitate him. Additionally, John's emotional struggles, stemming from the loss of his family and planet, sometimes hinder his focus, as seen in Justice League Unlimited, where his longing for connection leads to tactical errors. His shape-shifting, while versatile, has limits. He can't mimic powers he doesn't understand, and his telepathy struggles against beings with strong mental defenses like Brainiac. Martian Manhunter's narrative often casts him as a bridge between humanity and the alien, his empathy shaping his role as a protector. But this doesn't translate to raw power. He's a valuable team player, but his lack of defining wins against top-tier threats makes him an overrated figure compared to titans like Superman, whose combination of physical might and mental resilience consistently outshines Jones' more scattered feats. Deadpool. Deadpool, Marvel's talkative mercenary, has seen his popularity skyrocket, but his power is vastly overrated by fans. This perception largely stems from comics like Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, where he's admitted to Ravenscroft to treat his insanity. Manipulated by Psycho Man, who attempts a brainwashing, Deadpool breaks free and, driven by a new voice, slaughters every Marvel hero from Thor to Doctor Doom. While entertaining, these stories have created a misconception. Many believe he's capable of such feats in his standard form. In reality, these killings are nonsensical. Thor crushed by his own hammer or Doom taken out off-screen make no sense in the main universe. Deadpool is a street-level hero thriving in grounded stories, far from cosmic threats like Thanos, who easily overpowered him in a direct confrontation, except in specific scenarios where they were avatars of life and death, a narrative contrivance. His strength lies in his healing factor, but it's not as potent as often thought. Thor's lightning reduced him to ashes, and Nitro's explosion, which left Wolverine as a skeleton, would have obliterated him. Deadpool isn't indestructible. His durability is that of a normal human, offset by regeneration that isn't instantaneous when he's dismembered. Compared to Wolverine, whose adamantium skeleton provides added durability, Deadpool is far more vulnerable. His power level aligns with Taskmaster, formidable in one-on-one combat, but limited against higher-tier opponents. The boosts he receives in certain stories like Deadpool Kills are plot-driven for offbeat tales, not reflective of his true strength. In the 616 universe, the heroes he kills often seem weakened for the story's sake, skewing perceptions of his capabilities. Deadpool's appeal lies in his wit and resilience, not raw power, making him an overrated figure beyond his role as a chaotic underdog. His combat style, relying on agility, swords, and guns, works well against similar foes, but against beings with overwhelming power, like the Hulk, he's outclassed, as seen when Hulk once tore him apart with ease. Deadpool's immortality, tied to a curse from Thanos, ensures he'll return, but it doesn't make him unbeatable. He can be incapacitated for long periods, as when Cable once trapped him in a stasis field. His mental instability, while a source of humor, also hampers his effectiveness, often leading to reckless decisions, like taunting stronger foes mid-fight. Deadpool's narrative role is to subvert traditional heroism, but this doesn't equate to the godlike power fans attribute to him, cementing his status as a fan-favorite fraud. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, known as Wanda Maximoff, is often viewed as a near-omnipotent force, particularly after Multiverse of Madness, where she destroys an Infinity Stone and overpowers Strange and the Illuminati, amplified by the Darkhold. In the comics, her evolution is striking. Initially a mutant manipulating probabilities, she becomes a sorceress wielding 3 types of magic: chaos energy, reality alteration, and traditional sorcery. Her feats include putting the Avengers and X-Men to sleep with a gesture, defeating magic despite her Phoenix connection, and holding off Darkhold corrupted Avengers. She even traps demons in pocket dimensions, a tactic reminiscent of a master illusionist. As a Nexus being, she's seen as an omniversal entity in House of M, where she erases mutants with no more mutants, bolsters this image. Yet, her greatest feats rely on external boosts, like the Scarlet Witch entity or Doctor Doom's manipulation. Without these, she's vulnerable. She admits Thor, even in a weakened state, is a direct threat she can't face head-on, requiring time and allies to neutralize him without fully defeating him. Her human nature makes her fragile, A powerful strike, like Thor's lightning, could kill her, marking her as a glass cannon. Magic in comics is notoriously inconsistent, explaining her fluctuations. One day she warps reality, the next she struggles against lesser threats. Deadpool calls her the most dangerous Avenger, and she claims she could wipe out mutants again with enough power, but this remains theoretical. Historically, Wanda drew on sources like Chthon, which amplified her abilities, but without that connection, she's limited. Her battles, like against the Avengers, show impressive mastery, but her physical and emotional fragility, worsened by traumas like losing her children, make her unpredictable. Wanda's early days as a villain alongside Magneto in the Brotherhood of Mutants reveal her initial reliance on external guidance, a trait that persists as she struggles with the moral weight of her powers, as seen in Avengers Disassembled. Her chaos magic, while potent, often backfires, creating unintended consequences like the mutant decimation, which she later regretted. In the MCU, her grief-driven actions in WandaVision highlight her instability, a recurring theme that undermines her perceived omnipotence. Scarlet Witch is powerful, but not the unstoppable force fans envision. Her victories hinge on specific conditions, and without them, she's a skilled but mortal sorceress. Her potential curtailed by her own humanity. Batman, Gotham's Dark Knight, is frequently idealized as a godlike figure by fans, capable of defeating anyone through intelligence and preparation, despite lacking superpowers. He's credited with taking down the Justice League using gadgets and plans, with some even claiming he could beat Goku or Darkseid with enough prep time. This concept, popularized by fans and acknowledged by DC, like in a Multiverses article stating he'd need 5 years to defeat Superman, 10 for Wonder Woman, but nothing against Bugs Bunny, is overstated. In reality, Batman often fails against prepared opponents. Against Wonder Woman in Ikataya, despite a dispute over a criminal and ample time to prepare, she throws him through a window and subdues him by stepping on his head. Facing Swamp Thing, he tries herbicide, but clones overpower him, his strategy underestimating the enemy's power. Clayface and Frankenstein's creature also thwarted his plans, breaking his traps. Even his anti-Justice League armor, praised for neutralizing the team, relied on conditions. Flash and Wonder Woman were slowed by Joker Venom, and Batman hoped Superman was absent. The Man of Steel destroyed the armor instantly. The Hellbat armor, meant to rival Darkseid, drains his life force and failed to protect him for long. His plans, like Zur-En-Arrh or the failsafe robot, often backfire. Batman excels in strategy, anticipating thousands of scenarios, crafting gadgets, and devising counters for allies. But he remains human. His strength lies in resilience and intellect, not mythical invincibility. Fans exaggerate his abilities, ignoring his failures, like when Reverse Flash atomized him. Batman's role as a detective, as seen in Detective Comics, emphasizes his analytical mind over brute force, solving cases like the Court of Owls through deduction rather than power. His training with the League of Assassins and mentorship under Alfred honed his skills, but they don't make him superhuman. His psychological scars stemming from his parents' murder drive his mission but also limit him, as seen when fear of failure clouds his judgment, like in Nightfall against Bane. Batman's gadgets, like the Batmobile or Batarangs, are impressive but not infallible. They've been countered by foes like the Riddler, who once hacked his tech. The Dark Knight's narrative appeal lies in his humanity, not in the godlike status fans project, making his legend more impressive than his actual feats against superhuman adversaries. And there you have it. 6 overhyped heroes whose legends outshine their true power. Flash's speed, the Viltrammites' might, Martian Manhunter's versatility, Deadpool's chaos, Scarlet Witch's magic, and Batman's prep time all fall short under scrutiny. Their stories thrive on struggle, not invincibility, and that's what keeps us hooked. What do you think? Got another overrated hero or villain to call out? Drop your picks in the comments and let's dive deeper in a part 2 or a villain special. Smash that like button, share this with your crew, and hit subscribe with the bell if you haven't already. Catch you next time.